This group is one of Ohio's most underrated groups that specialize in soulful treatments of blatantly pop melodies. The centerpiece of today's video is all about the Hesitations. Now before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channels, and hit that notification bell to be sure you won't miss on any more uploads. Now without further ado, let's cue that intro. The story begins in 1955 in Cleveland, Ohio. Art Blakey started singing on street corners like many singers do, who reached prominence during the rock and roll and rhythm and blues era. Blakey shortly formed a trio with William Carter and George Hendricks, named the Collegians. The trio, along with a few local groups named the Crown Imperials and the Sobs, each had their own share of revolving members. And by early 1965, the groups combined into one, naming themselves the Hesitations. The group traveled to Detroit to try to get a record deal with MOTOWN, but they had no luck. Jack Ashford, one of MOTOWN's front brothers, liked something that he heard in the group. Ashford became the connecting piece to the group, signing a deal with Cap Records. By 1967, the group released its debut album, Soul Superman, followed by the single of the same name. That next year, the group released their second album, Solid Gold, followed by The Newborn Free, that peaked at 193 on the Billboard 200 charts and number 30 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums charts. The group released the single Born Free for the movie of that same name. Live free and beauty. Now, like many groups around this time, tragedy found its way to the group. In February of 1968, the group was on their way to a wedding where they was all in the same car with their wives. And someone in the car had a gun and was putting it in the glove compartment, where it suddenly went off and struck an unalive George Scott, who became a member of the group later on. According to Blakey, he stated it was 2 or 3 weeks after Born Free became a hit, and we was going to a wedding in Cleveland together. I remember King George saying that night, "I can die now, we've got a hit." Now, this incident was deemed accidental, but a group member was no longer here, and the feelings around this whole situation nearly broke up the group. Instead, Bill Brent, a Cleveland native who has been singing with the Drifters, was brought in to replace Scott. Now, throughout the remainder of the group's career, they released one more album titled Re-At It, followed by singles The Impossible Dream,
The Unbeatable Foe, We
Climb Every Mountain,
By Way, and Every Path,
and A Whiter Shade of Pale.
The room was humming harder.
By the end of 1968, the group disbanded, but by 2006, the group reformed, where they are performing and recording with new members. Now, the group had a lot of potential, but due to the unfortunate circumstance that happened, the death of a member caused the group momentum to die down, which is why this group was very short-lived. But before we go, I have a few questions for you all. Have you ever heard about this group? If so, what is your favorite song?